Hello there, I'm the Hung from the band Titwinkle, and this is my video series, Food for Rock, where I combine my love of music with my love of food. Now you might think these two things have nothing in common, but think about it. They both feed your soul. They both can offer you comfort and joy, and they can become a time machine. You bite that cookie and it instantly brings you back to your grandmother's kitchen when you were a kid. Or that song comes on the radio and it reminds you of your first love. Now, as a musician, I can tell you there are other similarities. Creating a song or creating a meal starts with one note or one ingredient, then you add a second note, you add a second ingredient, and if you keep going, eventually you're going to have a song or you're going to have a dish. Why don't you join me each week while I explore different songs and create a dish inspired by them. And you can have some fun too. Create your own dish inspired by a song that you love. Comment below and share what you've done. It's time to cook. And let's begin. On this episode of Food for Rock, I'm using the Beatles as inspiration for my meal. That song is going to be Here Comes the Sun, one of my favorite Beatles songs. Legend has it that George was walking around Eric Clapton's garden with a guitar when he came up with this song. I decided to be a little playful and use sort of the English heritage in creating my breakfast sandwich. And what I mean by that is, big English breakfast. However, we're not going to throw everything in there that an English breakfast has. We'll start off with a few of the ingredients. So the first thing I want to talk about is, you got to have an English muffin. And did you know the English muffin was not invented in England? Invented by an Englishman named Samuel in New York City, and we've loved it ever since. So English muffin as our bread. We're going to use some tomatoes, because what English breakfast is not good without tomatoes, right? We're going to have black pudding, or really this is what the Portuguese call morcela, so a blood sausage. Baked beans, but these ones are with Quebec maple syrup. Bonjour Quebec, thank you very much for the maple syrup. And then our eggs, of course, for the sandwich. And then to spice it up, we have some salt and pepper and a little bit of smoked paprika. And we'll top it off with a little bit of honey mustard. What makes this sandwich a little bit different is that I like to make a patty with the morcela, the blood sausage, and the beans. So I'm going to show you how to do that first. So I'm going to prepare my beans and black pudding patty for you. So we'll start off with, about a half of a sausage roll that you can get. This is about 6 or 7 inches long. So we're going to cut the casing, and we're going to remove the casing like this. Just put that in the bowl, casing in the garbage. And then this is about a cup of those beans. You just want to put the cup of beans right in there, just like that. And so we're going to take this and we're just going to take our hands and we're mashing this up. It's going to taste great. So we're going to mash it until it's all incorporated into almost a consistent looking item. This gets a little messy, but once it's incorporated, you're going to take this and you're going to put it into a mold to make the patty. So this is about as much as I want to mix it into, right about there. So I'm just going to remove these gloves and get myself another pair. So what we're going to do with the mixture now is we're going to get some parchment paper. Let's put the parchment paper down. You're going to get yourself a mold. Put that mold on top of the parchment paper. And then take a tablespoon and start spooning it into the mold. Use your finger to help put it down. And 3 tablespoons more or less should give you 1 patty. So we got 3 tablespoons here. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can see it better. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to gently squish it down. Into the mold, just like that. And then once it's squished down in the mold, we're going to try and get it to release like this. And there you go, you've got your first patty. Then what I do with this is I'll put it in the fridge overnight, or I put it in a container, and I'll have several of them with parchment paper on top of each other. And you wind up with patties that look like this. So these have been in the freezer, and you can see that they're ready to go. And so we're going to use that for our cooking. So let's start the cooking process. Let's get our tomato, and let's put that down just like that. I want to get my patty in there, just like this. Let those two start to cook a little bit. We can get our toast going. And as we're letting this cook, maybe we can talk a little bit about, there's a fine line between too many ingredients and not enough ingredients. And it's not easy to decide. You know, can you add bacon to the sandwich or other things? For sure. But trying to keep it to a minimum, 3 or 4 things, will let the flavors kind of enhance each other as you take bites. And this sausage is delicious just with the beans and the black pudding. So I want to let the tomato and the black pudding kind of start to caramelize a little bit. Now the thing with this black pudding is it's going to get loose. It's not going to stay in that nice round shape. But we'll try and keep it together as much as possible. We'll get our egg in there shortly. And we got our toast going. And as soon as the toast comes up, put some butter on that toast. Here's the other thing I wanted to say. You know, anybody can cook. You don't need to be afraid to cook. You just got to go out and try different things. And don't be afraid to make a mistake. You know, you've eaten something at a restaurant. Try and think of what those flavors were. And then you can go home and you can try doing the same thing at home. Taste it a little bit like this or a little bit like that. Yeah, put those ingredients together and come up with your own concoction. I like to cut the tomato a little thicker so that it still stays juicy as we cook it. We're going to get a bit of a nice color on one side. I'm going to check that right now and see what that's looking like. Yeah, it's turning a little brown. It could probably stay on this side a little bit longer. And then the patty, let's see if I can flip it over. Oh, look at that. I was able to flip it over. That's good. I'm actually going to let it sit like this for a little bit too so that it can get a little bit of a crust on there. Once I got my toast popping, we're going to butter that and get it ready for the rest of the sandwich. Let's try flipping that tomato. Oh yeah, now that's a nice little color on the tomato there. I don't want it to get too cooked. And here's our English muffin. Let's get some butter. Butter on the English muffin. I was told by someone that they like a lot of butter on their muffins. I mean, who doesn't like butter on their muffins? Now, this is not for those of you who are trying to count calories. If you're counting calories, you're not going to enjoy something like this necessarily. But it's delicious. But don't worry about counting calories. Spoil yourself once in a while. So this is looking good. Let's get that egg in there. You know what? Let's put a little butter in the pan for the egg to sit on. So just a little butter right there. Get that butter going. Let's get that egg cracking. And you know what? Oh, look at that amateur move. I got shells in the egg. Look, have you ever done this? If you've done this, comment below. Just take the shells out with the shell. And this egg is looking kind of funky, so I'm gonna kind of position it back here so it's somewhat round. Just like that. give it some shape. That's all you got to do. Let's see how this patty is coming along. Yeah, the patty is kind of still holding together, which is surprising me a little bit. The tomato, oh yeah, nice and toasty. I'm going to try and flip. Let's get that all in there. And, gotta tell you folks, looks a little messy, but I'm going to tell you, it tastes delicious. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You want your food to taste great. Who cares if it doesn't look amazing? We're not going to make it look ugly, but we're going to try and make it look appetizing for sure. Now, I like my egg a little runny. We're going to let this sit there for a little bit. I'm going to flip it over, just get it sunny side down, just for a little bit so that I can get that nice soft yolk when we put it into the sandwich. But really, I want to layer this so that I have the patty first, tomato in the middle, and then the egg on top. And we're going to finish it off. We're going to drizzle with just a little bit of honey mustard. And so you're going to get that sweetness of the baked beans inside with the blood sausage and the tanginess of the tomato with a wonderful taste of that egg with a bit of honey mustard on top. Finished off between two buns, the English muffin that Mr. Samuel created in 1874 for us. And what better way to celebrate Here Comes the Sun with a sunrise sandwich. So if you look at that egg, look, the egg is looking pretty good. Just a little bit loose on top still. But I think we can get the sausage in place. So I'm going to try and grab it again, get it on my spatula. A little bit's coming off, that's okay. And let's just place it on top of the English muffin like that. I don't know if you can see that, but let's just show the camera. So there's that English muffin with the sausage. Let's grab that tomato. Let's put that tomato right there, right on top. Come on, tomato! There you go. Nice and circular on top of there. And let's just get our egg flipped very quickly, just like that. I'm going to turn off my cooking device here. Let that sit for a little bit. I want to get that egg somewhat kind of in between soft and medium. And then when we cut into this, we should see that golden yolk just pour out of the sandwich. And I think we're done. That's about as hard as I want that yolk to be. I'm going to place that right on top of the sandwich, just like that. And then we can put the lid on. And look at that. Our sunrise sandwich. Beautiful. I almost forgot. Got to throw on a little honey mustard to finish the sandwich off. Just a dab like that. That looks wonderful. Let's cut into this beauty and let's see what we've got. And let's open her up. Amazing. Nice and gooey. It's time to take a bite. I almost forgot. You know, before we take a bite of the sandwich, we really should be listening to the music. After all, this is called Food for Rock, where we pair food to music. So I'm going to bring in the song with my boombox buddy, Slick Finger. Come on in, Slick. Play the song, buddy.
Right, in today's forecast, rain. Rain, rain, rain.
That's not the song.
That is actually a rare bootleg from an outdoor festival in England. It was an English summer. That's why it was raining.
You know what, folks? We'll just put a link to the song in the description below. And remember, you can't always change the people around you, but you can change the people you're around. Have a great night. See you next time. visit us at titwinkle.com for a copy of the recipe.